is a track that we wrote in Philadelphia with the full band. Rue and I sat around in a hotel room sort of playing the riff on the guitar, and Rue did some lyrics and stuff, and then we came, played it to the band and recorded it there and then in Philadelphia. It took one day, and then we came back here and edited all the stuff we recorded and chopped it up and finished it off back in the UK.
And it's going to have the main track, Night Stray.
Radio edit.
It's going to have a radio edit of Night Stray, a remix of Night Stray, which is what we're working on now, which is more a 4/4 kind of dance tune version of it. Got Pound of Rhythm, which is another track off the album Vaccine, which we wanted to put on there to show sort of more of the dynamics of the upcoming record, and that's the EP.
Nothing. It's just been a void. Between albums there's just a complete vacuum of silence.
Get put in a sleep
and
tunnel
nothing.
and put on in dry ice for 3 years and
Yeah.
make an album in about a day.
No, since then we've done a lot. We've done the Spongle album. You've done your album.
I've
I believe,
done my
which is coming
Prometheus
out.
album, which is coming out in October, beginning of October. That is called Spike. The album, the Young Brother album, took a long time. We did a recording session in London with the band, and the band used to be, last time we made a Young Brother album, the band was just me and Simon when we made Last Days of Gravity. And towards the end of making Last Days of Gravity, we thought we'd try this very old and wonderful friend of mine called Rupert. So we brought him in to do All I Want, and it worked really well. We were really pleased with that tune. It's still one of my favourite Younger Brother tunes, and he ended up being on 3 tracks on that. And then we started touring with Rupert in America. We picked up some great musicians in America to tour with us. And by the time we came to starting Vaccine, we immediately knew we wanted to do it with the band and with Rupert, and use recording as a band in a studio as the sort of seed from something to build a whole record out of. And we got the band over to London last year, and started recording. We got 6 tracks down in a week or 2 weeks.
It came about because of the technology as well. The first Younger Brother albums we couldn't really do with a band.
Yeah.
You know, you had a small computer, you could only sample a few minutes of, say, guitar or, you know, real actual audio, and the rest was all MIDI synths and stuff. And so now the technology is such that you can record a band in your living room and get a very good sort of professional sounding record. People, I think the fans are a little bit confused about why you suddenly change from making electronic music, which the first album was particularly electronic, and then the second album the technology was such that you could record more, so we did record more.
Yeah.
And now, you know, we've always wanted to do band stuff, and we really like taking audio and processing it. And doing
Yeah, it's not like you
it.
just have all those synths that make the kind of creative noises and stuff, and then you put a band in and leave it. You can apply all the same processes to a guitarist or a vocal or a drum take that you can apply it to a synth sound. So that's why we wanted to get the raw band in there, get a really good band, get them recorded, and then we knew we'd then need a lot of time to then shape that sound, to give it a sound.
Make it sound like Younger Brother.
Make it sound like us, yeah.
So we recorded some great people. We got Joe Russo on drums, who plays with Further, the Grateful Dead offshoot. And Night Stray, the upcoming EP, is a particular showcase for his talents. I've told the story before of him coming down to record the tune. He'd had his wisdom teeth removed and had a face like a watermelon, and a head full of Vicodin. And he played this amazing drum take on his own, because the band hadn't figured the song out at that point, with a click in the wrong time signature in his ear. And we were just so excited to get this amazing drum take back home and work on the track with it. And we had great guitar from Tommy Hamilton as well, who didn't actually make it onto this track. Unfortunately, he's on some of the other stuff. He's on Pound of Rhythm, which is on the EP.
Brilliant guitarist.
Yeah, it was all through Mark Brownstein from the Disco Biscuits when we started playing Younger Brother at Camp Bisco, the Disco Biscuits festival. Initially we were doing our customary laptop sets, and all the other bands around us were sort of live bands, and we thought, it feels a bit weird playing just from a laptop and a couple of synths, and so why don't we get a band together? So we asked Brownie who were the best people around, and he sort of pointed out a few people, and we'd seen at the first Camp Bisco, we saw Joe's band, The Duo, which were just two people, this amazing drummer and phenomenal keyboard player, and they sounded so good, just the two of them, and Brownie put us in touch with him for the drums, and he's good mates with Tommy, the guitarist, who's in a band called American Babies and Brothers Past.
To English fans this is all probably a bit strange, or anyone actually who's not from the States. The jam band's a very particular American phenomenon, but it's got great musicians in it, great musicians.
However, it means that because half the band's in America and half the band is over here, it's very difficult to get them all together and record an album or even play a show. So we've done some gigs with the American band, and then when we've played here, we've also got a great English band as well. Chris on bass, Christopher Borrod, and Matt White on guitar, who are both also phenomenal musicians.
And obviously now Rue is always part of the touring party, and he is all over the new record. It's really very centred around Rue's lyrical and vocal ideas. Varies massively. Some were sort of seeds that we had before we started recording. Some were things that came up in the studio. Some weren't written at all with the band and were just made after that in here, with us playing all the instruments and just assembling it in the computer, never actually playing as a band, and doing it that way. So there's really no rhyme or reason or formula. It's always totally random.
As I said before, the technology has kind of made it possible to do that kind of stuff with a band. So in a way, it's just expanded our sonic palette, which in the old days was a few synths and a computer, which is very easy to make pounding techno with. And now our sonic palette is really limitless, and so we can do any ideas that we have. We can see through to the end. I like the name Vaccine because it's sort of, I don't know, it's not controversial, but it kind of, how to describe it?
People have a lot of, it used to be, if you'd said to people the word vaccine 10 years ago or 20 years ago, most people would have had the immediate reaction of something that was there to help you, but now it's taken on these
negative connotations. So people react to that quite badly.
They react immediately.
They say, vaccine, it's all very medical, and they think of autism and mercury and all these sort of scandal things that we hear in the papers. Whereas the sort of the basic concept I really like of a little bit of poison or something that's, maybe not good for your consciousness or immune system, actually is for the greater good. Maybe if you expand the allegory, it can expand your consciousness.
Yeah, it's become quite a strange word, the way people react to it. Something that fundamentally is designed to do you good, to protect you, has become something people are scared of. And the notion of a vaccine is something where you're given a small amount of poison or a small amount of something negative that in the long run does you good. And so it's a strange notion, the idea of a vaccine.
And we see a parallel of that with the album, because the album's a little bit different from what we've done in the past. Fans might be a little shocked by it. It might be sort of a little injection of something a little bit different into the system. But I think over time the end result will be positive because it's a great album and should bear up to many years of listening.
I hope it's the sort of album which, where the reasons why we've made it are very sort of honest, you know. We haven't made a big 4/4 dance record because that's what we do. We've purely made something that we sort of felt was where we were and want to make. Hopefully it will, you know, people will see that. Then, you know, I hope they're not going to see we've made some sort of forced decision. It's not like that at all. We just naturally ended up making this. Actually, people I think who know Last Days of Gravity anyway will find it. If you take the 3 albums we've made, you'll see a fairly fluid progression from one thing to the next.
I can't believe that our taste in music is so weird that nobody will like it. If we do what we like and we want to hear, which is what we always do, then there's also going to be other people around the world that are hopefully going to like it, because our taste isn't particularly weird or avant-garde.
I mean, just because we're not making 4/4 kind of techno-based music anymore, doesn't mean we sort of don't like it, or I think we've all moved on past it. It's just
We just want to do something different right now.
Yeah, it just wouldn't feel, at the moment, if me and Si sat in the studio making that sort of music, it would feel really forced and like we were only doing it to fulfil some sort of brief that we didn't make.
Whereas Vaccine is fulfilling our own brief of making music for fun's sake and music's sake and pleasure, and something that we want to listen to in the car or on the plane or at a festival, after a festival, and you know, I think we've done that.